Right, so we're talking to Beverley Alexander, who's a professional cabaret singer, voice coach. How would you describe yourself? Excuse my arm.
How would I describe myself? Well, that's very difficult to say. A creative broke thespian. No, well, I've worked in the theatre all my life, and so I do cabaret, and I do theatre, and I do pantomime, and I've done radio, and I've done television. I've done quite a lot of things, really, but then I started when I was very young, you see.
Okay, so what actually got you into performing in the first place?
I think from being 6 years old, I watched Gene Kelly on the television dancing, and I watched Frank Sinatra because my father was a singer, and he always had Frank Sinatra on, and I just really learnt to appreciate the good times of, I think, true theatre and variety. Not much of that left now, I'm afraid.
Right, so of all the interesting things you've done and the places you performed, are there any things that stand out in your memory as particularly interesting?
Crikey, there's an awful lot, really. I suppose one of the highlights would have been the London Palladium that I sang there with Frankie Lane, and that was a wonderful experience. He was a very nice, gracious man. I did the Gene Pitney tour. I sang there with my act. I used to be part of a 3-girl act, and he was a lovely, lovely man, very nice person. That was a very happy time. One of the other things that really stands out is touring with Basil Brush. Basil Brush was absolutely fantastic. The gentleman that ran Basil Brush, as it were, was a man called Ivan Owen. And he was extremely clever because he had a sort of stand on the stage that he hid behind. And in that stand was a monitor, so he could see what the audience could see. And so he literally worked back to front. And he worked that fox just like, well, you've seen him, we've all seen him. He just looks real. And believe me, when you work with him, you think, oh, it's going to spoil the magic, but it doesn't, because it's just like, a real little creature there. And of course, that voice is so funny. And it was just brilliant. I loved it. There's been so many. Did John Inman tour when we did Are You Being Served? And we had to sing all of that, Are you being served, sir? What is it? What are the words? What would you like to see? Can't remember. But that was good. Top the bill at the Savoy. There's been loads and loads of things. Hard to say one particular moment. Yeah. Okay.
And now you spend a lot of time teaching, don't you?
Yes, I do. I work as a voice coach. I've been at Lytham Town School of Music for 4 years, and they've just sold. So I've moved places now. I'm teaching from the Clifton Academy now, and I teach professional singers and budding stars as well, and people that just want to sing for fun. And there's lots of people that are part of choirs, and they don't realise that they can do quite a bit of damage to their voice if they don't know what they're doing. Sometimes they have quite heavy rehearsals just in a choir. They sing solidly for 2 hours, and then they wonder why their voice is hurting them the next day. So I have people right across the board from 4 years old is my youngest. Can you believe that? I don't normally take them under 9, but this little girl is quite exceptional. And I have another little boy who's very, very good at 7. My eldest is 70.
Okay, so you take anybody with any level of ability?
Yes, there has to be a certain modicum of being able to sing in tune, obviously. If I feel after 6 weeks they're not pitching correctly and they're really not hearing the notes, then I will say, I think perhaps singing's not for you, because I won't waste their time and money, and obviously it's a waste of time for me. But with some people, it's strange. They come and they can't just sort of hit middle C, and then I have other methods of getting them into key, and I start to hear that, yeah, well, they're getting into key there, but not perhaps on middle C. So I know then it's a case of ear training, and I'll persevere. And then gradually, after about 3 months, they're suddenly right in tune. And so sometimes you've got to sort of work out, is it tone deafness or is it just a lazy ear,
Right. One of your pupils that we've had a fair bit to do with is Ashley Benjamin. Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about him?
Oh, Ashley. Well, Ashley's been with me, crikey, it must be 9 years now. And bless him, when he first came to me, he said, I don't do scales. I just want you to know I don't do scales. I said, okay. I said, well, I don't do, regular scales like everyone else. I said, I just do my own way. I said, we won't worry about the scales. And about 15 minutes later, he did my form of scales and didn't even realise that he'd done it. Ashley, and I know he'll forgive me for saying this, he had a very bad case of nasal singing when he came on his first lesson. And when he went away after the lesson, I thought, I wonder if he'll come back, because I sort of said, well, you're singing down your nose, and I was trying to be kind, but I can help you with this if you persevere. Anyway, he did come back, and he kept on coming, and he doesn't sing down his nose at all now. And after about 8 weeks, he just stopped it completely. Singing down the nose is another subject, really. That's caused by quite a few things, but he's fine now. And he's done so much work since then. He's done about 3 or 4 albums. He sells his stuff. He writes his own stuff and produces it all. His range is incredible. He has a good 3 octave range, possibly going on to 3 1/4. And he sells his stuff on, I think, is it iTunes? He sells it. I'm not very well up on all of this. And he's had quite a lot of sales in Japan. And he's very talented. I think he's very talented. His stuff is different, and it's good. It's good.
And what about Sarah Creaney?
Well, Sarah, again, has been with me since she was 11. And the first day she came, there she was, this little shy little girl with socks rolled down to her ankles, one up, one down. Just a little girl's voice that could sing in tune, and she carried on coming. She's come every single week to my house, all the way from, well, she lives practically in Southport. I think it's Longton, I think she lives in. And she's never missed a lesson except when she's been ill. And gradually she's developed, and we decided on the way that she wasn't going to be a pop singer. She didn't like it. She liked the music that I like to sing, which is swing and jazz. So it's probably my fault that I've made her go down this route. But that's what she is now, a professional jazz singer. And she gets tons of work, and she's very, very good, very professional. And I'm very proud of her. She's done dance classes with me as well, plus she went to Phil Winston's excellent school, Theatre Works. She trained there for a year, and she's done all her musical theatre exams with me. That's something else that we do, and she's received honours for every single exam that she's done, the same as all my others have. So yeah, I'm very proud of them, and it's a great feeling.
And you do a lot of character voices as well, don't you?
Well, now you're onto another subject, Paul, because I started in radio many years ago as a voiceover artist and a session singer. I did do session singing at Granada Television. That was with Cannon and Ball, and on one of the shows they did, we started on there. And one day, just messing about, this sounds extremely facetious, I took a shampoo bottle and started to do what I thought was a silly commercial voice, and sent it up something wicked, and put it on cassette tape. And then I did another one of a lady called Judith Chalmers. Do you remember Judith Chalmers? About the holidays, and I picked the longest words that I could in Spanish and really sent it up. And then I did I have to say, a rather cruel takeoff of Bonnie Langford. I won't do it now because I'll blow your machine to pieces. And I facetiously sent this off. I can't believe that I did that to a voiceover agency. And they wrote to me 3 days later and said, would you come in and see us? Because we've never heard anybody do a 6-year-old quite like you, because I do children's voices as well. So I did go to see them, and they signed me up and started sending me off for jobs. And so that's how it happened. And I was I started at what was Red Rose Radio at the time, which of course is now Rock FM. And I just happened to mention I could sing one day, and they said, oh, well, just come in and do something then. So I did. And it all went from there. But I'm not an impressionist. I am, I would say, more of a character person. I tend to take people off by isms and mannerisms in the voice.
Excellent. Have you got a question?
Yes, I know that you don't just teach voice coaching, you also teach dance and movement, don't you? Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I know you've got one particular pupil we've watched, very special, Oliver, yes.
Well, I was a professional dancer. I've danced since I was, 6 years old, and I was with a lovely lady who lives in Lytham called Dorothy Walker. And Dorothy eventually was headhunted to go and work at the Tower Stage School, and that was run by a West End producer called Joan Davis, and I was very fortunate that I was one of the pupils she took with her there. And I had wonderful training there. The other lady that was there was called Mary Cregan, and both excellent teachers. They taught me so much I can't put into words all that they've given me. And I went on to the Tower Ballet for 4 years, and then I went into South Pier as a professional dancer with the Grumbleweeds. That was my first season. And then after that, I auditioned for the Bernard Delphant organisation, and was with a television producer called Fred Peters, who was a wonderful, wonderful dancer. And so I danced with Freddie Starr for 2 years. Now there's another tale in itself, but Freddie was fantastic, absolutely lovely, and I won't hear a wrong word said about him because he always stuck up for me, and he's got a very kind heart. He's just great. So I had, quite a few years working as a dancer. I went to Bournemouth with Rolf Harris and pantomimes as a dancer, tons and tons of people. I stopped dancing when I was 19 to go into singing with the 2 other dancers that I'd met in the Rolf Harris show. So I'd always done that, and then I went on to do choreography and stuff, and I choreographed a Eurovision Song Contest act and holiday centres and various things. And eventually I decided, well, I better get my teaching qualification here in dancing, which I did, and took my degree in that. And so I don't run a dancing school as such. I specialise in musical theatre. So I teach them singing, dancing and drama, and I do private lessons. Now, Oliver has been with me since he was probably 9, because he used to be with another dancing school when he was a little boy, and he sang and acted and danced in a big production of Bugsy Malone that we did for a dancing school in St Anne's, and he sort of stayed with me for his singing lessons, and he's carried on with his singing lessons, and his voice is now broken, and during that time he did all his musical theatre exams. And he's just a wonderful dancer. He's got such style, and he's got a great voice as well. And he's very special because he's got a fabulous sense of humour. I just love him to bits. He's nearly 16 now. And he danced in a charity show that you and I did together. And he was super, wasn't he? Absolutely lovely. Well, he's now having Tuesdays he goes to Phil Winston's at Theatre Works, so he's having classes there. He still has his singing lessons with me, and he has the odd, he'll do the odd dancing thing with me, because it's good for him to get different styles now that he's 16. It's not good to sort of stay in one place. You need to expand and pick up different styles. So he's at that stage now, because of course when you go to auditions, you don't know what the choreographer is going to do. And if you haven't worked with them before, then you're not sure of their style. Once you get in with them, then you can more or less guess how they're going to do it, So Sarah did the same thing with me. She had private dancing lessons with me, just to pick up different styles, and get out of the sort of dancing school style and get more into the professional style. So that's what I do with the dancing. Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody listening to this thinks that they would benefit from the Beverley Alexander touch, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, I'm on. If you Google me, you'll find my name there, and you'll find my telephone number there. You can always ring the Clifton Academy, and they would pass you on to me. But the